All right, here we go in five, four, three, two, one. Hello, and welcome to Oscar Mike Radio. Oscar Mike Radio is a military and veterans podcast show where I talk about military experience, history, stories, the people who support us, and all kinds of different things. And a little out of the normal military genre, but still kind of a cool story of determination and grit. Tyson Fields, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Hello.
Well, how are you doing, Tyson? Heard about you and checked you out, and you're starting off in your artistic journey. You know, what's that like trying to get started? You know, at a fairly young age, you're in school, you got stuff going on, but you're dropping songs and you're touring and you're fully engaged. What's that like for people who don't know?
Well, it got to the point where I had to work so much on music that I had to start being homeschooled and not have more time to do music and put music out and everything like that.
So does your mom teach you?
I am on the computer.
What's that like? So when all these kids went on COVID schooling, you're already ahead of the game.
Yes, I'm actually a year early now that I started homeschooling. I'm going to graduate this year instead of next year.
Well, that's exciting.
Yes, it is.
Do you like being in this environment so you can work on your music? Do you miss being around friends and other stuff? Or is your music working so well for you that this is just something you got to do?
Well, at first I used to miss being at school and being with my friends, but then I go to dance every day, so all my friends are there now, and I like being at home during the day, and then in the afternoon I go to dance to see my friends.
Awesome. So how did you get into music?
Well, I started liking music when I was very young. My dad used to show me all types of old R&B, like Boys to Men and New Edition. And then I started singing at Rocky II Academy of Popular Music down here. And then I just started singing with a group on stage, and I sing by myself. I fell in love with it.
So wait a minute. First of all, Boys to Men is old R&B. Oh my God, you're making me sound old. So when did it click for you that this is more than just something that you just enjoy doing for the fun of it, but you're like, hey, I want to really commit and work at it? Because the reason I'm asking is a lot of people think that, oh, these people up there with the microphone singing is easy. It doesn't take a lot of work, but that's not the case, is it?
No, not the case at all.
So
I used to have to run on treadmill to keep my stamina up. It's a lot of hard work.
So what's a typical day like for Tyson working on his career?
I wake up, clean everything up because I usually have a mess from the night before. And then I start on my producing and I finish up like what I was working on the night before. Then I get to school. I start doing schoolwork in this room right here. Eat, do all those things, get ready to go to dance. I go to dance, get home at around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, then come back to the computer and work on whatever I'm working on until like 3 a.m. And then I start over.
So this isn't just like a little part-time gig. You really are in it 20 plus hours a day.
Yeah.
And you love it.
Yes.
Does it feel like a job to you, or are you just, even at 17, 18 years old, you're just starting out in life, but you're so locked in that this is just, you don't want to be anywhere else?
No, certain things about it feel like a job, but it comes with it, like all the stuff about social media and that kind of stuff kind of feels like a job because it is. But when I'm just making music or on stage performing, it feels like it's just what I want to do.
Awesome. So look, I got some technical questions to ask you. Before we do that, I ask all these artists that have come on Oscar Mike Radio, I ask them the same question. So you're working hard right now. You're a young guy. You got your whole life ahead of you. Look, Tyson, You know how Bob Dylan and a couple of these other people sold their catalogs for millions of dollars, right? You know, they no longer own their own songs they wrote, produced, and performed. They're done with that. What if I gave you a check right now for, say, I don't know, $100 million, and you could forego all the work and the late nights and all that stuff and have the money right now, but you couldn't sing or perform in public ever again. Would you take it? No?
Uh, no, I was saying, oh no, I couldn't sing in public anymore. I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know. That's a hard question.
It is. It is. And some of these artists are like, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Singing's not, this is not just something, this is part of me. This is who I am. So it's always interesting to hear the response. There's no right or wrong answer. Me personally, I'd take the money.
If I could still sing, I mean, if it's just not in public, so I can sing like in the house.
I know. You're good. You're going a little further than other people do, but you know, it's zilch. You can take the money, you can have the security, but you can't sing. Period. I got to qualify that. It doesn't sound like you take it. You're out. You're out. Okay. And the reason I asked that is again, kind of back to the other question I asked earlier, is a lot of people just think this is an easy thing to do, and it's not. And you picked up on something. You work a lot of your computer on your music. I mean, are you sitting there mastering your tracks and working with the workstation to get your sound right?
Yes, I started producing on GarageBand on my iPhone.
Get out.
Yes. And then I finally got a MacBook and I can start actually making music. And then I moved on to Logic, and then I learned how to mix and master. And then it led to me producing and putting out my first single.
All right. So look, you're not going to get along great because I'm just dipping my toe into that. I mean, I do Audacity for podcasts, and that's a whole different level. What you're doing is much higher, but you know, as you get into this, there's a real like art form to it. So when you approach a track to master it and to get the sound just right, what's your approach? Because it's not just the sound. You've got to get the technology to make it sound the way you want it, right?
Yes. A track, I just focus on every little detail. Like if I want the high ends to sound a certain way, I cue it to make it flourish in a certain way and flourish in a certain way. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's your work, right? I mean, you've done it then. And does that make it easier when you're talking to other, you know, producers or somebody who's also a technician to get the sound the way you want it?
At certain points it does, but I have different ways of describing things than certain people do. So there'll be that barrier. But some things I know about and I can tell them about how I want this to sound. Other things I would say something, they'd be like, I would say flourish again.
Well, one thing, you know, when you sing, a lot of singers think they're just perfect from the time they open their mouth to the time they close. And I'm like, even I know they're like, look, you're off. You're not keeping with the rhythm of the band, and the band's trying to catch the singer right, which can, you know, be a problem, or they're off on the pitch. They're not closing out the end of the phrase right. I mean, what's it like working on your own stuff? And also, I guess that's part one, but part two would be, what's it like listening to other people's work and picking out things that you do differently?
Working on my own stuff, I'm very hard on myself. I don't think I'm perfect at all. Nowhere near perfect. And if I messed up on stage, I would go home. And my dad always records it, and he makes me watch it over and over again. It's gotten better. At first, he was like, on this, this, and this. And now it's, if I mess up, I know how to fix it and I'll do it better next time. And listening to other people's stuff, well, I don't like to judge that much.
So let's go back to the word perfection. I mean, so you want it perfect, you want it right, but can you ever be like too perfect? Can you ever chase perfection too much? Or is it just something that you say, you know what, I'm going to get better every time I go out on the stage. I'm going to get better every time I get behind the microphone, bit by bit, and keep working towards it?
When it gets to the point that it's all you want is perfection, then you should stop, because that's not what it is about. It's about just getting better every time you do it and try not to make the same mistake twice.
As we talk, this isn't strictly a military show, this one show, but a lot of it applies, right? Because, I know that I'm going to mess up, but I have to own it and then figure out a way to get better bit by bit. You mentioned to me that you have family in the military. Have they had any kind of impact on your life? What do you think about their service?
Yes, my uncle, he is a colonel in the Air Force, and he's moved around everywhere, from Korea to Germany, to Alabama. And a few years ago, my family took a trip to Korea to go see him, but I couldn't go because I still was in school at that time. Disappointed. I'm still kind of salty about that.
Do you talk to your uncle a lot? I mean, do you keep up with him?
Yes, my whole family, we have a Zoom meeting every Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Yes, on my dad's side, but on my mom's side, they all live around here, so I see them all the time.
Does your uncle ever listen to your music and give feedback?
A lot.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's
Every
that
time
like?
you track, my dad just sends it off to him, and he says, "It's good. It could be better. I like this one." And he just comments on it.
It sounds like your dad and your uncle really got you dialed in and are really like working hard on this.
I got a great support system.
Well, that's awesome because I've talked to some artists who don't. And what I mean by that, Tyson, they've gone to Nashville or LA on their own, and it's been a lot more difficult to get settled and get the kind of feedback and care that they need. So it sounds like your family is a huge part of what you do.
Always.
So tell me about this single that you're dropping. I heard it. Tell me about that because it sounded really cool. And you gotta understand now, Tyson, I'm a metalhead. I like metal. I like heavy metal. I like rock and roll. So for me to listen to this and kind of take it all in was pretty cool.
The single is called "I'm Fallin." It came out April 9th, if I'm not mistaken. It's about just falling in love and not being scared. The production is just a guitar loop playing in reverse with very high energy drums, and it's exciting to finally have a song out.
So it's not being scared to fall in love.
Yes.
Well, I chuckle about that because there's a couple of friends of mine who are trying to get me to fall back in love. So, that I kind of chuckled to myself a little bit when I heard it. So that's pretty cool. Do you have any other singles you're getting ready to drop, or you going on tour in this year at all with COVID kind of loosening up a little bit?
I have shows coming up. I don't think a tour, but I have a few shows coming up, and I have another single hopefully coming out in May.
Oh, nice. Can you tell me anything about that?
It's gonna be more on the R&B side than the pop side.
So I think you may have answered this, but I just want to circle back. What is it about I mean, forget the fact that you were kind of raised in R&B. What is it about R&B and that, smooth, silky tone you have that really draws you into that kind of music?
Um, I just think you can. It's just this soul in R&B, and you sing from whatever emotion. I mean, it's like that in every genre, but especially in R&B, and it feels like it just wraps you in the blanket.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So you started singing from when you were a younger age. You're homeschooled now. You put a lot of time and effort into this. This is not just something that you do on the weekends or a couple nights a week. This is about you getting to the next level. So I'm curious, in the short and long term, let's start with the short term first. What's the next level you want to get to, Tyson?
Well, I want to be put putting more music out. Honestly, I want all of it to be out. I feel like I waited for so long. I started singing at 7, so it's been a minute, and now I'm 17, so 10 years in the
Oh my
making,
God.
and I finally put one. I'm just
So
ready to come.
so you have a lot of music that you've created over the last decade. Decade. We're saying decade here, 10 years. And now
I'm
it's
not,
just like, okay, now it's time to launch. Let's go. Let's get it out there.
yes,
Full send.
full send.
All right. Well, hey, I got a couple sons, close to your age. So I'm not cool, but I understand. Well, I think it's really cool because, and the reason I'm going to say this next is a lot of veterans, my age, a little bit younger, or not much older than you, are trying to do their own thing. They've gotten out of the military. They're trying to get into music, painting, yoga, starting their own business, and they get frustrated when they don't get that success right away. And it sounds like that you've worked for 10 years just to launch, and you've had that patience for 10 years. So if I was coming to you, if I had another veteran here beside me who's kind of struggling right now to stay engaged, what would you tell that veteran to do to kind of stay focused on what they're trying to do? Because you've done it for 10 years. You did it for
Um,
10 years and released one song, and you're still patient. How's that work? How's the approach work?
well, if it's what you want to do and what you love, you're just gonna find a way to do it. I mean, it's for everybody. If you're struggling with not doing it, I guess look inside yourself to see what you really want, if that's what you really want to do. Because music is what I want to do with my life, and whatever you want to do, you have to know you want to do it.
So it can't be something that I want to do one day, then, I want to take a week off. I want to go out late at night and forget practice. It's every day. It's a choice.
Yes.
And it just blows me away, man. I mean, you waited 10 years to get your craft set to release your first song. You got to be excited.
Very.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think it's cool that you got your uncle in the Air Force who's might be in one place one day and a month later in a different duty station. And your dad still sends you all your work for him to listen to and they compare notes. That's just cool to me. I
Yeah,
think that's
he does.
awesome. And I got to tell you, man, I really respect, you know, from a professional standpoint, your willingness to commit and stay focused on your goal. I think there's a lot of lessons I can learn from that. So I just want to thank you for coming on Oscar Mike Radio and sharing with me. The door is open to come back on and give me an update about what you're doing. I'm very
Mhm.
interested to see you succeed, and I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you too.
Appreciate it. Well, I'm Travis Oscar Mike Radio with Tyson Fields. I'm going to have the link to hopefully his website and song and all that. You can check him out. I love the I'm Fallin single. It's a real smooth feeling, folks. Very outside of my lane, but okay. But the cool thing, you're not a country music star. So this is a real good change up for me. I really appreciate the difference. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you too.
All right, as we say in Oscar Mike Rita, we are mission flight. Thank you very much.